In the year 3047, humanity vanished in a single night. Entire cities stood intact, lights still glowing, machines still humming, yet not a single soul remained. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just silence. Centuries later, explorers from the Orion trade fleet discover Earth, perfectly preserved, like a museum frozen in time. At the heart of New York, a colossal black monolith hums with energy, pulsing like a heartbeat. Some say it's a message, others fear it's a weapon. But one thing is certain, this is not human technology. What if humanity never disappeared, but ascended? What if Earth was only the first step in becoming the most advanced civilization the galaxy has ever seen? No one remembered hearing a sound. No alarm sirens, no thunder of war, no final desperate message broadcast into the void. One night, in the year 3047, the cities of Earth were alive with their usual chaos. Neon skylines stretching into the clouds, orbital elevators glowing like beacons, ships darting through the sky. Humanity had reached a golden age. Diseases were cured, colonies thrived across Mars and Titan, and the long, bitter wars of the 29th century were finally behind them. And then, silence. At dawn, the transports flew without pilots, the markets opened with no merchants, the factories hummed, but no workers arrived. Every street, every home, every orbital station, empty. 8 billion human lives, gone. Not dead, not displaced. Simply gone. The machines carried on without them, following their programming. The oceans lapped against the same shores. Satellites orbited faithfully. Earth had not fallen to war or plague. It had simply been abandoned overnight by the very species that called it home. No one knew why, and for centuries, no one came to ask. Chapter 1. The Return to Earth. The Orion trade fleet drifted into the Sol system more than 400 years later. At its head was the Starlance, a ship longer than 3 city blocks, its silver hull covered in the scars of meteor strikes and old battles. Captain Elira Kale stood at the forward observation deck, staring at the pale blue orb ahead of them. "Homeworld of humanity," she whispered, though the word home meant nothing to her. She was a child of the Heshari, a tall, blue-skinned species, with crystalline ridges along their forearms. To Elira, Earth was nothing more than a curiosity, a half-forgotten story told in spaceport bars. "Captain," said her second-in-command, a broad-shouldered reptilian officer named Kor. "Sensors. Confirm atmospheric stability. Cities appear intact." His golden eyes flicked nervously across the data feed. "Too intact." Elira nodded. "Bring us into orbit, full scans." From the observation glass, the planet's surface rolled into view. They saw sprawling megacities stretching across continents, towers of chrome and glass, sky bridges arcing like ribbons between them. Power grids still hummed with energy, orbital elevators reached into the heavens, their tethers unbroken, and yet there was not a single ship moving in the skies, no pedestrians, no traffic, no voices. "Empty," muttered Jax Orion, a human-born smuggler the crew had reluctantly taken aboard weeks earlier. He leaned against the railing, dark eyes fixed on the earth below. His beard was scruffy, his jacket patched together from half a dozen stolen uniforms. "You've seen it before?" Elira asked. "Stories," Jax said flatly. "My mother used to say Earth was cursed, said the humans who lived there were taken by the gods, said if you set foot there, you'd vanish too." Dr. Rin Solvek, the ship's lead scientist, scoffed. "Superstition. Humanity's disappearance has a rational explanation, and I intend to find it." He adjusted his pale green visor, data streaming across its surface. "Preliminary readings suggest their infrastructure has been maintained by automated systems. Fascinating. 4 centuries without biological oversight." "Fascinating," Jax muttered, "isn't the word I'd use." Elira raised a hand. Prepare the landing team. We'll set down in what was once their capital hub. She pointed to a map highlight. New York City. Chapter 2. A World. Without voices, the shuttle broke atmosphere, flames licking across its hull before giving way to blue skies. Below stretched New York, a city of empty towers and silent streets. They landed in the middle of what had once been Times Square. Neon billboards still flickered, cycling through centuries-old advertisements for products no one would ever buy again. Autonomous cars sat frozen at intersections, their batteries long dead. The silence was suffocating. Elira stepped out first, her boots echoing against the cracked pavement. Core followed, scanning the area with a plasma rifle slung across his chest. Rin knelt immediately, sweeping the ground with handheld sensors. Jax lingered at the edge of the shuttle ramp, arms crossed. "This place should be dust by now," Core muttered. "Nature reclaims everything eventually. But these structures, they're pristine." "Self-repairing architecture," Rin explained. Humanity had mastered nanite maintenance before their disappearance. These towers likely repair themselves at the molecular level. His eyes glittered behind the visor. "Magnificent." Elira tilted her head, listening. Somewhere deep in the city, a hum echoed, low and rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. "You hear that?" she asked. They followed the sound through abandoned streets until they reached Central Park. And there it stood, a colossal black monolith, 50 meters tall, smooth and seamless as obsidian. Its surface reflected no light, swallowing every photon that touched it. Strange runes pulsed faintly across its face, glowing with energy. The hum was louder now, resonating in their bones. Rin's visor flickered violently as he scanned. Impossible. "The energy output is astronomical. This isn't a monument, it's a power source. Possibly a transmitter." Elira approached cautiously, her hand brushing the hilt of her sidearm. "A transmitter to where?" "Or to when?" Rin whispered. Chapter 3. The awakening. As they circled the monolith, the ground trembled. The runes flared brighter, spilling blue-white light across the park. Jax cursed, backing away. "I told you this place was cursed!" The air rippled, distorting like heat haze. Then, without warning, a beam of light shot outward from the monolith, striking Elira squarely in the chest. She staggered back but did not fall. Instead, her vision exploded. She was no longer standing in Central Park. She was floating in endless stars. Around her shimmered billions of human faces, flickering like ghosts. Men, women, children, their expressions serene. A voice echoed inside her skull. Not one voice, but thousands speaking in unison. "We are the ascended. We left behind the shell of flesh to rise into the greater current. Do not fear our absence. We are not gone, only beyond." Elira gasped, her mind pulled deeper into the vision. Images flashed. Humans dissolving into light, their bodies disintegrating into streams of energy that wove together into a radiant lattice across the galaxy. They had not died. They had transcended. The vision faltered. Static tore through the images. The serene faces twisted, distorted. A new voice cut through, harsh and broken. "Not safe. Not yet. They will come. Beware." And then it was gone. Elira collapsed to the ground, gasping. Her crew rushed to her side. "What happened?" Core demanded. She swallowed hard, staring up at the towering monolith. "They're not gone," she whispered. "Humanity ascended." Chapter 4. The Interference. The revelation shook the crew. Back aboard the Starlance, the data recovered from the monolith replayed in fragments. Most of it was corrupted, the message incomplete. Rin was ecstatic. "This is the discovery of the millennium, proof of species-wide transcendence. Do you understand what this means? Death is not the end." It's evolution. Core frowned. Or extinction disguised as evolution. I don't like it. That warning at the end. They will come. Who? Jax paced the room, jaw tight. Doesn't matter. You people don't get it. This isn't a message. It's a lure. Humanity vanished, and whatever took them is still out. There. We shouldn't be here. But Elira couldn't shake the vision, the faces of billions merging into light, the serenity in their eyes. And then, the distortion, the fear. Captain, the comms officer interrupted. We're picking up an incoming transmission. It's not local. Origin deep space. Elira turned sharply. From where? The officer hesitated. From another monolith. Across the galaxy. The crew exchanged tense glances. The mystery of Earth was only the beginning. The message spread across the galaxy like a ripple in still water. It began as a whisper on the encrypted trade networks, then emerged in intercepted military channels. Within days, entire star systems were speaking of it, a transmission pulsing, from the long-forgotten human homeworld and its silent monuments. Most dismissed it as static. Some called it a hoax. But those who had power and ambition leaned in closer. Because buried within the fractured frequencies was something no civilization could ignore. A map. Chapter 1. Uneasy silence. Captain Elira Kale stood alone in her quarters aboard the Starlance, staring at the swirling star field beyond the viewport. The galaxy looked so calm, so endless. Yet she felt the opposite inside, restless, coiled, like the moment before a blade struck. Her crew's discovery on Earth should have been a triumph, the kind of revelation that earned medals, statues, perhaps even legends. But instead, it felt like they had ripped open a wound the galaxy wasn't ready to see. The humans had not died. They had ascended. That much was clear. But why had their message been corrupted? Who, or what, had interfered? A chime sounded at her door. "Enter," she said. The door slid open to reveal Dr. Rin Solvek, his pale face aglow from the data streams playing across his visor. He didn't wait for permission before stepping in, hands twitching with nervous energy. "You're not going to believe this," he said breathlessly. "The monolith on Earth wasn't alone." Elira raised an eyebrow. "Explain." Rin projected a star map into the air between them. Dozens of points of light flared across, each accompanied by pulsing waves of energy. "There are others," he said, scattered across the spiral arm, each one broadcasting on the same frequency. Together they form a network, a lattice of signals triangulated perfectly. "It's a trail, Captain. Humanity left us a trail." Elira's stomach tightened. "And you told no one else?" Rin hesitated. "Only Core. And Jax, unfortunately." He overheard. Elira cursed under her breath. The smuggler had been trouble since the day they picked him up. As if on cue, the door chimed again. This time it was Jax Orion, leaning casually against the frame, arms crossed, a half-smile tugging at his lips. "Trail, huh?" he said. "That's one word for it. I've got another. Payday." Chapter 2. Fault Lines. The crew gathered in the war room. Holographic displays filled the chamber, showing not only Earth's monolith, but the dozens of others now confirmed across the galaxy. Core, towering and reptilian, slammed a clawed fist against the table. "We cannot keep this to ourselves. If these structures are as powerful as Solvek claims, we must inform the Hishari Council immediately." Rin shook his head violently. "No, don't you understand? The moment the Council gets word, this becomes politics. Every empire, every warlord, every scavenger will swarm these sites. We'll lose the truth in the chaos." "And what do you propose?" Core growled. "That we follow the trail ourselves," Rin said. quietly. Piece together what? Humanity left behind before anyone else contaminates it. Jax chuckled. You two are adorable. But let me give you a dose of reality. You think we're the only ones listening to these signals? Please. The second that pulse lit up the void, every intelligence network in the quadrant was scrambling. I guarantee you fleets are already mobilizing, which means... He leaned forward, lowering his voice. So you're already too late. Elira let the bickering wash over her for a moment. She knew they were all right in different ways. The discovery was too big to hide, too dangerous to announce. She raised a hand, silencing the room. We don't have the luxury of debate. The choice is simple. We either chase the signal now, or we step aside and let someone else claim the greatest secret in history. Her eyes swept across them. And I don't plan on stepping aside. Chapter 3. Pursuit. Their first destination was a remote system near the galactic rim, a dying red star with a single barren world. The monolith there was half buried in ice, jutting out of a frozen plain like the blade of a colossal knife. The Starlance descended cautiously, sensors scanning. Same energy signature as Earth, Rin murmured, his voice trembling with excitement. But stronger. Much stronger. Elira glanced at Kor, who tightened his grip on his weapon. Stay sharp. The landing party approached the monolith. Unlike the pristine one in Central Park, this structure was cracked, its surface scarred by centuries of ice storms. Yet the runes still pulsed faintly, alive despite the environment. As Rin set up equipment, Jax circled warily. I don't like this. Feels too easy. Moments later, his instincts proved right. The ice cracked. From beneath the surface, shapes emerged, metallic insectoid machines with glowing eyes and razor limbs. Guardians, ancient sentinels left behind to protect the monolith. Contact! Kor roared, unleashing a barrage of plasma fire. The creatures screeched, their bodies splitting open into jagged wings as they lunged. The crew fought desperately, weapons blazing, sparks and blood painting the ice. Elira moved with precision, her pistol shots striking weak points in the construct's carapaces. Jax, cursing, improvised with explosives pulled from his satchel. Rin huddled by the monolith, frantically inputting commands into his scanner. Almost. There! He shouted. A final pulse of energy surged through the ice. The Guardians froze mid-attack, their eyes flickering before they collapsed lifelessly into the snow. Rin fell to his knees, panting. I linked with it. The monolith. It responded. Elira helped him to his feet. What did it say? He looked at her, eyes wide with awe and terror. It wasn't meant for us. It was meant for humans. Only they can unlock it fully. Chapter 4. Shadows of the past back aboard the Starlance. The atmosphere was tense. The discovery had confirmed what Jax had long suspected. Humanity wasn't gone, not completely. They had left pieces of themselves scattered across the stars. Think about it, Jax said, pacing. These things don't react to us, not properly. But to me? To my bloodline? I'm human. That's why the damn machines hesitated. That's why it triggered? Rin frowned. You're a smuggler, Orion, not a prophet. Don't delude yourself. I don't need to be a prophet, Jax snapped. I just need to survive. And right now, the only reason we're still alive is because those machines recognize something in me. Kor growled low in his throat. Dangerous to keep him aboard, Captain. If what he says is true, others will come for him. They'll tear this ship apart for the chance to put their hands on a living human. Elira said nothing for a long time. She knew Kor was right. Already reports were flooding in of rival fleets heading toward monolith sites. The galaxy had taken notice, and in the center of it all stood Jax Orion, reluctant, cynical, but now perhaps the most important man alive. Finally, she spoke. Then we protect him, at all costs. Jax blinked, surprised. "You mean that?" Elira's gaze was hard. "Don't make me regret it." Chapter 5. The ambush. Their next jump brought them to the Zerath Expanse, a nebula of swirling violet gas. Somewhere within it, another monolith pulsed faintly, its signal barely detectable. But they weren't alone. As soon as the starlets emerged from hyperspace, alarms blared. A fleet of Vanar warships materialized from the nebula, sleek and black as obsidian knives. "They were waiting for us," Kor snarled. On the comms, a cold voice crackled through. "This is Commander Saren of the Vanar Dominion. Power down. Your vessel and surrender the human. Resist, and you will be annihilated." Jax went pale. "The what now?" Elira ignored him, jaw tightening. She knew the Vanar by reputation, merciless expansionists, conquerors who erased entire cultures. If they wanted Jax, it could only mean one thing. They had also deciphered the monolith's secret. "Battle stations," she ordered. The Starlance roared to life, its cannons blazing as fighters launched into the nebula. Explosions lit up the violet gas, debris scattering into the void. The Dominion ships pressed hard, relentless, driving the crew into a desperate fight for survival. "Captain," Rin shouted over the din, "the monolith, it's reacting to the conflict. It's activating." On the view screen, the nebula flared as the monolith at its heart erupted in light, casting waves of energy that rippled through the battlefield. Dominion ships buckled, systems failing as the pulse overloaded their cores. But the starlets held steady. Elira's breath caught. The monolith wasn't just responding, it was protecting them, or rather, protecting Jax. Chapter 6. Revelation. When the battle ended, the Dominion fleet lay in ruins, scattered wreckage burning in the nebula. The Starlance drifted closer to the monolith, its glow steady now, calm after the storm. Jax stood at the observation deck, staring at it, his reflection pale against the glass. "Why me?" he whispered. Rin joined him, placing a hand on the railing. "Because you're not just human. You're proof humanity never truly vanished. Their blood runs in you, and through you, perhaps in many others across the stars, hidden, forgotten, waiting." Elira felt the weight of it settling on her shoulders. Humanity had not only ascended, they had left seeds of themselves behind, embedded in alien bloodlines scattered across the galaxy. The monoliths were calling to those seeds, to the remnants of humankind, and others were listening. Elira turned to her crew, her voice hard as steel. "This changes everything. If the galaxy learns the truth, chaos will follow. We must stay ahead of them. We must uncover the full message before the Dominion, or anyone else, gets there first." Jax tore his gaze from the glowing monolith. His voice was quiet, almost reluctant. "Then I guess I'm coming with you." The galaxy was stirring. Across the spiral arm, empires shifted, fleets mobilized, and whispers turned into shouts. The news of the monoliths spread faster than any warp drive courier, faster than any encrypted relay. The Hishari Council debated, in fury. The Vanar Dominion swore vengeance after their crushing defeat in the Zerath Expanse. The free colonies saw opportunity, while the Sereth theocracy declared the monoliths divine relics sent to test the faithful. Everyone wanted the secret of humanity, and everyone knew it wouldn't remain hidden for long. At the center of it all, aboard a battered trade fleet vessel far from home, Captain Elira Kale made a choice that would alter the fate of every living being in the galaxy. They would follow the trail to its end. Chapter 1. The Lattice of Light. The Starlets hung in orbit above a nameless gas giant, its storms boiling silently below. Within the war room, the crew watched as Rin projected the expanding network of monolith signals. They're converging, the scientist said, his hands trembling with excitement. Every site we've discovered so far, it's part of a pattern, a lattice. The holographic map shifted, the dots connecting into glowing lines until a geometric web spanned the galaxy. At its heart, one point burned brighter than the rest, a beacon hidden deep in uncharted space. Rin's voice dropped to a whisper. The origin point, the place where humanity completed their ascension. The architect's sphere, Alira said. The name had come to her in the vision, when the monolith on Earth had filled her mind with whispers of billions. She hadn't understood it then. She barely understood it now. But the word echoed with power. Kor frowned. That's in the Eclipse Veil. Dead sector. No charts, no colonies, no trade routes. Nothing comes out of there. Nothing tried, Rin corrected. His visor glowed brighter. Until now. Chapter 2. Fractures, tensions aboard the ship grew as they prepared for the journey. Kor distrusted Jax, openly questioning the wisdom of relying on a smuggler whose bloodline made him a target for every hunter in the galaxy. Rin, by contrast, hovered around Jax constantly, studying him like a priceless artifact. "You don't get it," Jax snapped one evening as Rin took yet another blood sample. "I'm not your messiah. I'm just a guy who got roped into this mess because I was in the wrong cargo hold at the wrong time." Rin adjusted his instruments. "And yet the monoliths respond to you, not to me, not to anyone else. That makes you more than a man, whether you accept it or not." "Or maybe I'm just bait," Jax muttered. Alira overheard the exchange from the doorway. She stepped inside, her expression firm. "You're not bait. You're our bridge. Whatever the humans became, they left pieces of themselves behind. You're proof of that. Without you, we're blind." Jack stared at her for a long time, then sighed. "You've got a lot of faith for someone who doesn't even like me." "I don't need to like you," Alira said. "I just need you alive." Chapter 3. Into the Veil. The Starlance entered the Eclipse Veil 3 cycles later. The region was a graveyard of failed expeditions, drifting wrecks, shattered hulls, and the faint echoes of distress signals swallowed by endless static. The nebula around them glowed with a sickly green light, twisting sensors, confusing navigation. Strange gravitational eddies tugged at the ship, forcing constant course corrections. "Like sailing through ghosts," Jax muttered, watching the distorted stars. Hours turned into days as they pressed deeper. Supplies ran thin. Crew morale frayed. Whispers spread of shadows moving just beyond the hull, shapes too large to be natural. And then they saw it. The sphere. It filled the view screen, a construct so vast it dwarfed entire planets. A shell of interlocking rings encircled a blazing artificial star, its light refracted into beams that cut through the nebula. Towers rose from the rings like mountains, connected by bridges that spanned thousands of kilometers. The Starlance was a speck before it, a grain of dust approaching a god. Rin fell to his knees. The architect's sphere, humanity's final work. Alira's voice was hushed. "Take us in." They descended into the sphere through a massive aperture that irised open as they approached, as though welcoming them. The interior was a labyrinth of shining corridors, gravity shifting seamlessly with each curve. At the core lay a chamber unlike anything they had seen, a cathedral of light. Crystalline structures floated in the air, pulsing with energy. Images flickered across them. Human cities, star systems, entire histories unfolding in holographic display. Rin's voice shook. "It's an archive, a record of their transformation." The crew moved among the projections, watching as humanity's story unfolded, scientists unlocking the secrets of quantum consciousness. Mass migrations into structures of light, bodies dissolving into streams of pure energy. the creation of the sphere as a sanctuary, a cradle for their final metamorphosis. And then, a warning. The images shifted to devastation, stars collapsing, planets burning, civilizations torn apart by unseen forces. A pattern repeated across the galaxy. Each time a species reached a certain threshold of power, disaster followed. Jax clenched his fists. That's what they were running from. That's why they ascended. Elira's blood ran cold. Not running, preparing. Chapter 5. The Catastrophe. The sphere's archives revealed the truth. An ancient phenomenon, older than the galaxy itself, swept through the stars every 100 millennia, a wave of entropy that consumed advanced civilizations. Not a weapon. Not a species, a law of the universe itself. Humanity had seen it coming, and instead of perishing, they had found a way to evolve beyond its reach. Kor's voice was grim. If this is true, then it's already begun. He was right. Even as they watched, live feeds from the sphere showed distant systems falling, suns flickering out, fleets vanishing into darkness. The catastrophe had arrived ahead of schedule. Rin turned to Elira, his eyes wide with desperation. We can survive. The humans proved it. If we follow their path, we can ascend too. Kor snarled. You would abandon flesh, abandon our people for some experiment? We don't even know if it's possible for us. Jax said nothing. He stood before a crystalline pillar, watching as it reflected his face. And behind it, billions of human faces woven into light. He whispered, Maybe that's why I'm here. Chapter 6. The Choice. The sphere trembled as external alarms blared. Dominion ships had found them, slipping through the veil on their trail. Fleets of obsidian warships surrounded the sphere, their weapons primed. On the bridge, Elira's crew argued Rin, We have to activate the sphere. It's the only way to shield ourselves. Kor, that's suicide. You don't know what it will do. Jax, maybe it's not about us. Maybe it's about them. The ones already ascended. Maybe they left this for me to finish. Elira silenced them with a sharp command. She looked at Jax, really looked at him, the reluctant smuggler who had become the key to everything. The sphere's systems responded to his presence. The monoliths had protected him. The archives had reflected him. Humanity's fingerprints were all over his bloodline. The Dominion's ultimatum thundered across the comms. Surrender the human, or die. Elira met Jax's eyes. What do you want to do? She asked. Jax swallowed hard, staring at the blazing heart of the sphere. For the first time, his voice carried not sarcasm, not fear, but resolve. I want to finish what they started. The architect's sphere burned like a false sun in the dark, its radiant beams slicing through the eclipse veil. Around it swarmed the obsidian warships of the Venar Dominion, sleek, merciless predators closing in for the kill. Their comms, pulsed with demands, surrender the human, deliver the legacy of Earth, or be annihilated. Inside the sphere, the crew of the Starlents stood on the edge of history. The archives had revealed the truth. The catastrophe sweeping across the stars was no enemy, no conqueror, but the universe itself unraveling in cycles of entropy. Humanity had escaped by transcending flesh, weaving their minds into light. Now the sphere offered the same path, but only if someone dared to finish what humanity began. Jax Orion, smuggler and cynic, stood at the center of it all, and for the first time, he was ready to choose. The bridge of the Starlents was chaos. Sirens blared, the hull shuddered under, distant weapons fire. Outside, Dominion ships pressed closer, a black tide against the sphere's glowing skin. We can't hold them off forever, Kor growled, claws digging into the console. Their numbers don't matter if we finish this first, Rin cut in, his voice wild with manic conviction. We have the sphere. We have the key. If Jax activates it, if we all ascend, the Dominion becomes irrelevant. Kor turned. On him, eyes blazing. And what if it kills us instead? What if this isn't salvation but a grave? It's the only way, Rin shouted. Jax slammed his fists on the table. Stop using me like I'm some damn tool. You think I want this? I didn't ask to be anyone's chosen one. Elira's voice cut through the noise, sharp as a blade. Enough! The bridge fell silent. She looked at each of them in turn. We don't have the luxury of endless debate. The Dominion is at our throats. The catastrophe is already swallowing systems. We choose now. Fight and die as flesh, or risk everything on the chance that humanity was right. Her eyes met Jax's. What's it going to be? Before Jax could answer, the lights dimmed. The ship trembled as systems flickered. On the holoscreens, Dominion fighters tore through the last of the sphere's outer defenses, and then a voice filled the comms, smooth and cold. This is Commander Saren of the Vanar Dominion. You cannot win, but you can survive. Deliver. The human, and I will grant you mercy. The crew stiffened. The offer hung in the air like a poisoned fruit. Kor's jaw clenched. Captain, if handing him over spares us, you'd sell me out that quick. Jax snapped, fury flashing in his eyes. But even as they argued, another betrayal struck deeper. The security feed crackled, showing Rin in the lower decks, rerouting power, overriding locks, activating the sphere's core without permission. He's trying to force it, Elira realized, her blood running cold. He'll trigger the sphere whether we're ready or not. Or whether it destroys us or not, Jax muttered. Kor slammed a fist against the console. I'll stop him. No, Elira said firmly, drawing her sidearm. I will. The core chamber pulsed with blinding light. Rin stood before a crystalline control spire, his visor glowing, his body trembling with the raw energy coursing through him. You don't understand, Captain, he shouted as Elira burst in, weapon raised. This is bigger than us, bigger than the Dominion, bigger than flesh. We have to ascend now, before it's too late. You're risking every life aboard this ship, Elira barked. Shut it down! I won't, Rin hissed. Humanity showed us the way. We just have to follow. He reached for the final command. A single plasma shot cracked through the chamber, searing into the spire beside him. Sparks rained down. Rin staggered, staring at Elira with betrayal in his eyes. You would deny eternity, he whispered. I would deny madness, Elira said coldly. This isn't your choice to make alone. For a moment, Rin looked broken, a child denied his dream. Then his face twisted in rage. You'll regret this, he spat. And with a final command, he triggered a surge of power that hurled Elira backward. The spire flared, linking directly with Jax across the ship. The sphere had chosen its vessel. Jax collapsed to his knees as light consumed him. His vision fractured, flooded with images of billions of humans dissolving into radiance. He heard their voices, countless and unified, echoing inside his skull. Child of our blood, you carry what remains of us. You are the bridge. He gasped, clutching his head. I don't want this. Want is irrelevant. The wave comes, only choice matters. Visions of the catastrophe ripped through him, stars winking out, civilizations collapsing in fire and silence. The Dominion's ships, the Hashari fleets, the free colonies, all swept aside like dust, and then a vision of the path humanity had taken. Bodies dissolving, minds woven into an endless lattice of light, a future beyond flesh. But the voices were not unanimous. Some whispered of triumph, others of terror, and deep beneath it all, a warning. Ascension is not salvation, it is transformation. Jax screamed as the weight of it tore through him. On the bridge, the crew fought desperately as Dominion boarding craft slammed into the sphere. Alarms blared, the hull shook. Kor tore through enemy soldiers with claws and fury, while Elira held the line with precision fire, but they were outnumbered. The Dominion surged forward, relentless. Then the sphere itself awakened. Beams of light erupted from its surface, slicing through Dominion warships like paper. Towers shifted, reconfiguring into weapons older than any empire. The entire megastructure pulsed with life, defending its chosen heir. Commander Saren's voice snarled through the comms. "Fools! You cannot control it. You will burn with it." But Elira knew the truth. They weren't controlling it. Jax was. Jax stood at the heart of the sphere, light spilling from his eyes, his veins glowing like molten fire. The archives swirled around. Him. Billions of human faces watching, waiting. Elira burst into the chamber, bloodied but unbroken. "Jax!" she shouted. "You have to choose. Finish what they started or shut it down." His voice echoed, layered with countless others. "If I ascend, I lose myself. I stop being Jax. I become them." "You'll become more," Elira said fiercely. "But maybe that's what we need. Maybe that's how we survive." Kor stumbled in behind her, wounded but alive. "Or maybe it's the end of everything. Once one species ascends, others will follow. Chaos, war, collapse." Jax's gaze shifted between them, torn apart by the weight of destiny. The Dominion closed in. The catastrophe spread closer. Time was gone. "I never wanted to be anyone's savior," he whispered. "But maybe I don't get to choose that." He reached for the spire. Epilogue. Ascension. The sphere erupted in light brighter than any star. Across the galaxy, monoliths pulsed in response, their signals merging into a single blinding wave. Civilizations paused as skies ignited with visions of humanity's transcendence, offered now to all who would take it. Some reached eagerly for the light, others recoiled in fear. Wars began, even as ascensions sparked in every corner of the spiral arm. On the sphere, the starlets drifted in silence. The Dominion fleet was gone, erased in the surge. Elira awoke on the bridge, her body intact, her mind echoing with whispers. She turned and found Jax gone. Only a shimmer of light remained where he had stood, fading into the sphere. He had chosen. Not just for himself, but for everyone. The age of flesh was ending. The age of the ascendants had begun.